Is she the biggest draw in women's tennis right now?
Yes.
Is she bigger than Sabalenka? Is she bigger than Coco?
Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be back. Can't wait to be out on court and I hope to see you there.
Let's go have a look at what actually happened during the match and then talk a little bit about what happened with Coco.
Sabalenka sits atop the world rankings. With 4 major titles and 63 victories in 2025, she defines absolute dominance in today's game. So, why would Nadal, arguably the ultimate legend, choose this specific path? Why support a player ranked 45 places lower, despite his academy nurturing her from the start? By late March 2026, Sabalenka had secured the Sunshine Double, conquering both Indian Wells and Miami. She looked peerless, marking her dominance with the light-hearted celebratory dance that has become her trademark. Conversely, Eala's ranking faltered as she bowed out of Miami's Sweet 16. Pure statistics favor the champion, yet Nadal ignores the leaderboard. He prioritizes raw talent, spirit, and those elusive traits that numbers ignore. He recognizes a specific fire, a mirror of his own younger self. Eala moved in at 12, having once hunted down Nadal at the airport in Madrid for a single snapshot. After her Eastbourne debut, his post calling it the first of countless finals wasn't just kind words. It was a deliberate endorsement from a man who measures every syllable. She holds only 3 professional victories on red clay. Even as her status climbs back, Nadal maintains her potential far exceeds the peak Sabalenka currently occupies. Hit subscribe now, because the following revelation will fundamentally shift your perspective on what makes a female tennis titan. Nadal's conviction isn't hidden. It is staring us right in the face. That social media shout-out wasn't a one-off gamble. It was merely the loudest note in a long-term strategy of support that has spanned several years. Connect the dots, and a startlingly clear picture of his intent begins to emerge. Eala's path into the Nadal Academy followed anything but the traditional route. She swept through Les Petits as one of the planet's premier youth events, seizing a full scholarship by proving her worth on court. That particular arena is famous for forging the elite professionals of the next generation. This wasn't a charity case. Eala secured her spot through blood, sweat, and undeniable performance. This distinction is vital. The bond between Rafa and Eala was never forged in pity, but in cold analysis. It was strictly about potential. At 13, she swapped the Philippines for Mallorca. No family, new customs, and zero guarantees of making it to the big leagues. Most grown adults would crumble under such a massive transition. She endured it as a child, isolated in a forge designed to expose and break every mental crack in a player. The school's methods are a direct reflection of the iron principles Nadal lives by. Maximum pressure, total discipline, no shortcuts. Those who thrive here aren't just gifted, they possess a neurological grit that separates them from the pack. Sabalenka certainly conquered her own mountain of internal demons. She faced panic, mental collapses, and very public hurdles with refreshing, raw honesty. Her psychological growth is awe-inspiring, but that strength was forged in the fire of the tour, whereas Eala's core was built in a lab. Eala's foundation was crafted within a machine engineered specifically to manufacture world-class champions. Nadal understands the toll of that engine because he is the primary product of its design. Should she maintain this elite level of play, her future potential becomes genuinely limitless. Following the Eastbourne run, Nadal's prediction of multiple finals was dismissed by many as simple kindness from a teacher. Nadal is notoriously careful with his public image and the weight his endorsements carry. He doesn't gamble with his words. Saying many was a calculated forecast, not a hollow wish for the future. His confidence is backed by facts. He actually shared the court with her during his 2025 comeback preparations. He witnessed her grind firsthand. That training session confirmed everything his scouts had been saying for years. Her talent was exactly as advertised. That airport story is more than just a sweet memory. It is a psychological profile of a winner. Her family practically hunted Nadal down before she even stepped foot on his courts for an official trial. That drive reveals a hunger that the ranking system is simply incapable of measuring. She wanted in at any cost, showing the same shameless ambition that defined Nadal's own rise to the top. Uncle Tony often describes Rafa's early years as a period of obsessive labor and a total refusal to quit. The surfaces may differ, but the underlying obsession remains a perfect, haunting match. Sabalenka stands in a league of her own, wielding a serve that absolutely devastates the current women's circuit. Even Eala confesses she would snatch that power in a heartbeat. Her forehand carves out lines and angles that leave opponents completely stranded. She commands the court with such raw intensity that rivals start feeling the pressure before the opening point even begins. That talent is undeniable, yet Nadal spent 22 major titles systematically dismantling players who possessed those exact same strengths. The man understands the thin line between a 3-year hot streak and a 20-year legacy that rewrites history. By throwing his full weight behind Eala, he is signaling that she possesses that rare, enduring greatness, not just fleeting success. Cut to February 2026 on the Nothing Major broadcast. Sam Querrey quizzes Steve Johnson and John Isner on whether Eala's star power now eclipses that of Sabalenka herself. Does she own the spotlight more than anyone? Absolutely. Is she outshining Sabalenka on the world stage? Even Goff? They both nod instantly. To most, this sounded like nothing more than a spicy bit of sports radio chatter. Data experts brushed it off, claiming fanatical supporters were simply blurring the lines of reality with their loud enthusiasm. Such logic overlooks a core truth. The masses do not flock solely to those who hold the trophies. If victory were the only magnet, Sabalenka would pack every arena, given she is undeniably the top-ranked force on the planet right now. Yet, she fails to spark the electric vibe that seems to follow Eala everywhere. From the courts of Melbourne to the heat of Dubai and Abu Dhabi, it is wall-to-wall crowds. It is not just loyal Filipinos traveling, it is the unique, soul-stirring magic Eala brings that Sabalenka lacks. John Isner hit the nail on the head during that digital sit-down. He noted the Philippines is a sleeping giant in tennis that finally found its hero. While true, that only scratches the surface of the story. Naturally, we cannot ignore the tidal wave of support Alex Eala receives from her global followers, particularly her massive Filipino base. The missing piece is how she plays. Eala possesses a style that forces even the most casual viewers to freeze and watch. Her bouts are pure drama where anything can happen. She frequently topples the world's top 10 elite. Over the last 52 weeks, she has won 57.1% of those clashes. She falters when victory seems guaranteed. Then, she pulls off miracles in matches she was supposed to lose. That chaotic energy is exactly what draws people in. Currently, Sabalenka is so dominant that her appearances often feel like a foregone conclusion, lacking that edge-of-your-seat suspense. She tore through both Indian Wells and Miami, surrendering a measly 3 sets to claim the prestigious Sunshine Double. While impressive, such perfection can actually feel less gripping than watching someone fight tooth and nail for every inch. Back at the Forest Hills briefing, I made that bold declaration about reaching the top of the rankings. Back then, I had no idea my journey would actually unfold this way. See, Nadal grasped this concept more deeply than his peers. He stayed captivating for 20 years because his battles with icons like Federer and Djokovic, plus his own broken body, ensured the drama never faded. Eala is still deep in those high-stakes early chapters. Alex and I share a great bond both during competition and away from the cameras. It is another grueling grind, but Nadal has seen this movie before and suspects he knows the final scene. There is one glaring hole in Nadal's faith in Eala, yet it somehow fails to dent his confidence. Just 3 career wins on dirt at the top level. Any scout looking at those stats would assume she has zero chance of ever lifting the French Open trophy. The red clay serves as the ultimate proving ground for greatness in the modern women's tour. Sabalenka boasts a 73.2% success rate on that very surface throughout her professional life. The divide between the two is massive, yet by April 2026, Eala was back at the Nadal Academy, laser-focused on mastering the clay. Even Iga Swiatek, the current world number 2 and winner of 6 majors, is slated to arrive for some intense practice sessions. Having the world's second-best player show up right where Eala is grinding away is far more than just a lucky break in the calendar. It speaks volumes about the respect the elite circuit has for Nadal's camp and the caliber of talent being forged within those walls. When Nadal claimed Paris at 19, he was far from a finished product on the red dirt. He showed up with a rock-solid base and a circle of advisors who understood every grain of clay on a deep scientific level. Eala is now tapped into that exact same blueprint, just as she hits the turning point from a mid-tier pro to a legitimate threat for major titles. This move is no fluke. Her inner circle, or perhaps Nadal himself, calculated this exact moment to strike. Sabalenka forged her dirt court prowess through years of gritty trial and error on the professional circuit. Such a grueling path clearly paid off, evidenced by her 73.2% success rate. Yet Eala might just bypass that long grind by plugging straight into the greatest mind clay tennis has ever seen. Should that specialized coaching actually stick? Though nothing is set in stone, the skill gap on the red dirt could evaporate far quicker than critics imagine. Following Miami 2026, Eala slipped to 45th globally. She couldn't replicate her 2025 breakthrough when she stunned both Iga Swiatek and Madison Keys to reach the Final Four. Falling down the leaderboards is a harsh reality with very tangible consequences. It impacts tournament seeding and fat paychecks. However, rankings are merely a rearview mirror. They reflect what an athlete achieved over the previous 52 weeks. They offer zero insight into the explosive potential of a 20-year-old on Eala's specific path. At 20, Sabalenka was still a stranger to the elite inner circle and hadn't touched a major trophy. Her Grand Slam debut win waited until she was 23. The Titan currently crushing the tour wasn't even a shadow yet at Eala's current age. Even the legendary Nadal was still a work in progress at 20. He grabbed a French Open at 19, but that invincible all-court mental warrior took several more seasons to truly materialize. He understands intimately that being ranked where you are at 20 is just a point on a map, not the finish line. When he pens the words, "the first of many finals," he isn't overlooking her current standing. He is looking past the numbers because he recognizes the internal blueprint of a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. Here is the unspoken truth behind this entire clash. Acknowledging this isn't a slight against Sabalenka. Suggesting Eala could one day surpass the current gold standard doesn't diminish what Sabalenka has conquered. 4 major titles. Back-to-back years atop the world, a weaponized serve Eala dreams of, and a psychological steal that turned a shaky player into a stone-cold closer. That resume is legendary, but Nadal's belief in Eala isn't about tearing down today's queen. It is about envisioning the superstar of tomorrow. She possesses a lethal toolkit that leaves her rivals reeling. These are 2 distinct narratives that the media forces together, which is exactly why the internet loses its mind over it. Sabalenka is 27. She is operating at the absolute zenith of her physical and competitive prime. Her window of total control likely lasts another 3 to 5 years before the brutal physical toll of her style starts collecting its debt. That is simply the way of the world. Biology dictates the terms for everyone, even legends like Rafa. Meanwhile, Eala is 20. Her prime hasn't even begun to shine. She is already toppling top 10 icons 57.1% of the time, and that's with an unrefined clay game. Before her serve has even reached its full power, and before she has truly weaponized the secrets of the Nadal Academy's red dirt philosophy, the monster Eala will become by 25 the age Sabalenka started. Her reign is the person Nadal sees when he chooses his words so carefully. That future titan is the reason this whole debate is actually worth your time. Nadal didn't write a long paper or give a 3-hour breakdown comparing stats. He left a breadcrumb trail, a scholarship, an elite camp, a shared court, and a few cryptic public endorsements that reward anyone paying close attention. The evidence was hiding in plain sight, just waiting for the dots to be joined. Currently, Sabalenka stands alone as the world's best. That is an undeniable fact, but Nadal knows the difference between the current champion and the one destined to redefine greatness. He forged that edge into Eala, one grueling drill at a time. Whether she can pull it off against the giants of her era is what makes women's tennis absolutely mandatory viewing for the next 3 years. If you want more deep dives like this, hit subscribe and ring that bell. Every script here aims to uncover the hidden angles that the mainstream media usually ignores. Brace yourselves for the absolute madness ahead, imminently.